Hello everybody, welcome. I'm on G at the moment so she can hold up the books that we're talking about tonight. We are talking about Rat Queens, book 1 and 2.
I got
If
volume
anybody
2. I
hasn't
know
read,
we weren't talking about it,
yeah,
but I got it anyway.
yeah. Well, if anybody hasn't read it, we need to know so that we don't spoil anything.
I did read it,
yeah. And we're also talking about Nimona. So those are our 2 books tonight. So yeah, here we go. All right, turn off G. There we go. Now it's moving, so you're not focused anymore, G.
Yay.
Okay.
Pressure.
Pressure behind it all, the pressure.
Can we do Rat Queens first? Because I didn't get to Nimona.
Oh, absolutely.
Because I would have liked to, but I just didn't get time.
Yeah, same here.
Oh, you didn't read it either, Matt? Oh.
No.
Sorry, I just need to close my front door.
Okay. Did you guys actually buy it? Because I'm very keen for you guys to read it.
It's very good.
We will do.
Yeah, but I do still want to read it. So I've got a book that I'm halfway through that was one of the sort of laser ones that is overdue from the library, and I'm like, oh God, I want to finish the last little bit before I send it back. I'm so behind on everything. I'm hoping now that I'm on holidays I might be able to catch up on a few things, but I just haven't had time for hardly any reading lately.
Yeah. Oh, fair enough. Okay. All right, so I'll close down because I had Nimona open, so I'll close that down and go to Rat Queens.
We will read it.
Yeah, no, that's good. Okay.
I've read her other one, Lumberjanes.
Oh,
I
I've
was
had
about
that
the same
recommended to me.
Yeah.
Oh,
hey,
June
June.
came in. Hi. Starting not to be shy.
Hello.
Hi.
Alrighty. Okay, so starting off with Rat Queens, guys. G, you're first in line for me. Do you want to go first?
Okay. I'm probably going to be really brief though because I read them a while ago now. Because I walked in to get Nimona first because I'd heard lots about Nimona. And the bookstore didn't have it, and they told me that it was like the purview of comic stores. So I had to go to the comic store, and they sold it out, and it took like a month to come in, and then the shipment got delayed. And in the meantime, I'm in there every week going, I need this back. I can't walk into a comic book store and not buy something. So I bought this one, and then I bought the second one, and then Matt, you'll like this. I went and bought these as well.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. And then Nimona came in, so lucky me. But that was a while ago now that I read the first one. And I remember being a bit like, yeah, it was pretty good. There's empowering women, woohoo, kind of like, the games that I like to play with the fantasy characters that go on quests and very tongue-in-cheek, which I really like as well. But I thought the first one was a bit flat on the characters, and I wanted more on the characters. And I found that the second one did that a lot better than the first one. So I was really happy to buy the 2 of them together, and I'm going to continue to read them because I quite enjoy them. And there are a couple of bits that I even photographed on Instagram because I thought they were hilarious. Nothing that stands out to me at the moment, though, but I'm keen to get a conversation going on this.
June?
Yeah, I read the comics a while back. So I was just before going through rushing through the comics to see if I can remember the details. But I liked the characters. It was very funny. I liked the style it was drawn in. I liked that kind of animation. Yeah. That's it really.
Yeah, I really love this one. I'm still, I haven't read that many comics. So, yeah, I really loved it. I loved the characters. I loved that there was a lot of humour in it. I definitely, did like, G said, enjoy the second one and the way it developed the characters more, but I think the first one was a good introduction, especially when you haven't got much to put a whole story into. When you think about it, there's not very much writing in a book this size, so I think the second one was better, but I really did enjoy the first one as well.
Kirsten?
Yeah, I really enjoyed both. I probably couldn't compare them as easily as you guys are because I read the Rat Queens ages ago, and then I only just read the second volume today to catch up. So the second one's a lot more fresher in my mind than the first one is. But yeah, I really loved it. I found it funny. I found it to be different to other stuff that I've read. Yeah, just I really like the characters. I like how different it is. So, yeah.
Matt?
Me?
You.
How am I next?
Alphabetical.
Because you're always at the end on your screen.
There you go.
Yeah. I have to use my teacher brain to put everybody in the right order because I could have moved myself.
Yeah, I'm pretty much the same sort of thoughts as everyone else so far. As you know, the first volume was more setting up. You know, the humour was there, but the story was sort of developing a bit slower. And volume 2, you know, really started to get that world and the story going a bit more. But I kind of feel like this is. It's not the best series I've read this year, but it's probably my favourite series this year. Just like combination of everything. The humour is like totally up my alley. It's like perfect for me.
Yeah.
I like the art style. I like the sort of like the sort of character archetypes, but like there's little twists here and there that to sort of take them off. Yeah, I know it's very generic kind of talking, but I really do like it. I laughed out loud quite often at this book.
Yeah.
That's always a good sign.
Yeah. So I've read other stuff that is probably like, you know, written better or have a more interesting and in-depth story at the moment. But as far as just like pure enjoyment factor, this is probably my favourite series that I've read this year.
Ditto. And then ditto. No, I really enjoyed it. I was pretty much right into it from the beginning. I think the artwork was what drew me in straight away. So I was just like, I was ready. I started with the pictures right at the beginning with the characters, and I was just like, so I was in from the very beginning, and I thoroughly enjoyed it the whole way through. So yeah. Probably talk about the points of why later. Naomi?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm very much the same. I enjoyed the story as a whole. I mean, in a comic, just with the first, like, even in those volumes, like, there isn't a lot of story you can put in when you're first trying to set up a world, because it's not like the first sort of book that you read in a series. Like, there's not as much you can sort of pack into it, especially word-wise. Like, it's a lot more visual because it is a visual sort of medium as well. So you sort of take a lot more of the world that she's building in from the actual pictures as well as the words, sort of, rather than using your imagination to build a world. I mean, I loved it. Like, I really enjoyed both books, and I can't wait to get the next one. But yeah, I feel like because we're so used to having a book that has a whole world that we're like sort of devouring all at once, getting just these tiny little snippets, which is really like a chapter or two in a book that we're used to, it gives it a different feel of what we're receiving.
Yeah, I think that's the thing too. Like, it's something to appreciate about comics is that they are different to books in terms of there's a build, and it feels a bit slower because you get one volume and you expect to sort of get all of that what you would get in the first book in it, but it's not. It's comic and it's continuum. But that doesn't change the fact that, you know, I'm the same. If I'm not caught in the first volume, it's hard for me to continue. So. Because I will always buy volumes. I can't do the whole issue thing.
Oh no, that would drive me crazy.
Yeah.
That's like eating half a biscuit and putting it back, or something, like half a piece, half a single bit of chocolate. It's like, oh, that's painful. But I think what helps is
That's how I feel about watching TV shows now. I can't watch them as they're coming out because I'm like, no.
Yeah, even when I read
Well,
like a few web comics, I'd read a whole bunch, and then I wouldn't look at it for a month, and then I'd read a whole bunch again because it's just
Yeah.
painful to, especially when they're storylines. If it was like day to day, that's fine, like single strips. But ones that were storylines, I'd have to just forget about it for a couple of weeks at least, and then go and read all of them because it was just too painful to
Well, that's
like
why
go a few panels and then a few more panels and a few more panels.
Yeah. There's one that I follow on Facebook that I read. It's the Girl Genius. When I found that one, I read the whole lot. It was like 12 volumes worth. I read the whole lot, and I just didn't stop. And now I don't read it at all because it's one page a day. Like
I
three
did the
pages
exact
a
same
week.
thing. I read the entire thing and then I haven't gone back to it since.
Mm. And that's worse. I mean, the issues are bad enough, but that's worse. Yeah. Anyway. Alrighty. So, shall we talk characters?
Why not?
Sure.
Oh, come on, Matt. Who is your favourite? Who's first?
I think Violet's my favourite character overall.
Mm-hmm. Any reason?
I don't know. I think she's sort of like the most down-to-earth character. I guess the most normal one, which I find is easier for me to relate to character-wise. I still like reading the more out-there type characters, but I tend to focus in on those ones that are most like me, I guess.
Because that's your visual
for me,
point to see.
Yeah. But I really liked her little flashback story in the second volume about shaving off a beard. I thought that was really awesome.
Great.
But as far as laugh factor goes, I think I have to pick Hannah for her quotes. I think she comes up with the best lines. And I might as well just talk about the other characters as well. Dee was kind of a little bit uninteresting for me for a while, but now she's got the whole, her background is feeding into that bigger, larger story that's started in the second volume, so we're starting to find out a bit more about her, so she's becoming a bit more interesting. And Betty's just kind of weird, and I haven't really gelled with her yet. Like, she's funny, but I don't know.
She seems like the kid. Is that just because she's little?
Yeah,
though?
I think so.
Yeah,
There's
she
a
does. She
little bit
acts,
of
like,
that.
she acts very spontaneous and
lollies.
romantic. Yeah, like lollies and
And it's
mushrooms.
kind of like
It's like
there's-
teenage
there's-
girl.
Plays it up a bit too, though.
Yeah. Sorry, what was that?
Sorry.
Sorry, I think she just plays it up a bit. Like, she knows that she's small, so she can act like a bit of a kid and sort
Yeah.
of get away with things that if she was just acting like an adult, she knows she couldn't get away with. She's actually
yeah, we
my
haven't
favorite.
got any
Especially,
of,
they call her Baby Betty.
Baby Betty, yeah.
Yeah.
We haven't got any of her backstory yet, have we?
No. So she's kind of like
she's
the
sort of
most unknown
yeah, we
character.
don't know much about her. Yeah.
I was
I
trying to
almost
find
feel like
some-
she's the most uncomplicated of them all in terms of her backstory, maybe because they haven't shared. Like, like Matt, you said, I think it was the one that made me laugh the most.
Yeah. I was just trying to look up
just-
some Hannah quotes, and it's really hard to find actual Rat Queens quotes. But the one that keeps coming up is the one where she goes, "Tizzy, count the number of fucks I give on my fingers."
Yeah, I think that was
I managed to conjure one just for you.
I like that one with her and Betty, and she's like, and Betty's giving her a hug, and she's like, "Stop it! You're melting my cold dead heart," or something. And she's like, "No," and she's like,
the
"Damn
heart
it."
or something like that. Yeah.
Let's see if I can find some more.
I just love flicking through it. I really do love the art in this. It's gorgeous.
And the chapter page art as well, done by different artists.
Yeah.
I
I
really
love
love
listening
that
to
art.
that. Really. Yeah.
I loved. I think it was Hannah's one in this volume. Let's see if I can find it. But it's at the very beginning, and I've gone past it already.
I do love the little role
The
playing
more
bits
realistic
they put
drawing.
down the bottom about -4 penalty to initiative and everything
Oh,
down the bottom of
this
the starts of the chapters.
Gary!
Gary.
Doesn't she look like
Oh, same
Uh,
piece of art. I was like, this is my favorite.
yeah?
And I really
yeah,
like
that
that
was
one.
gorgeous
Doesn't
one,
she look
yeah.
a bit like Maleficent?
Yeah.
Yeah, she does a bit.
Oh, with the
Yeah, horns. That's what she's hiding, is larger hair.
Yeah, I liked that. That was really cool.
Mm. I'm trying to find if that's...
I did kind of love the sort of like tea party bit where they're all spattered in blood.
Yeah, at the very end.
Yeah, and she's
I liked
pouring
how
like into the teacup. She's pouring from a jug that's got 3 X's on it.
I don't know if that shows up, but I really liked these pictures where they had like realistic drawings of them. It's really enjoyable,
yes.
but also
Yeah,
so
I know
just
which one.
little tiny
I've
ones.
seen most of it.
They were fun. Great, now I've lost my place in book 2. God damn you!
Can we just
Freaking reading
have a
things
moment,
digital.
Can we just
have a moment to think
browse
about
again?
Gary?
Gary.
Oh, Gary.
Gary.
I will fucking kill you, Gary. +1 on all attacks on anyone named Gary.
Yeah.
Oh.
Poor Gary.
Too bad if you would like Gary. Anybody else have like something about a character that they really enjoyed, they wanted to talk about, or hated, alternatively?
I think
Just
like
I don't
Benny
know.
the best.
Yeah, I don't know if you guys got it in the digital version, but in the front of the physical copies, there were like these sorts of little. Yeah, I really
The
like it.
trivia.
Was sort of the Betty drink.
Oh yeah,
Vodka,
tequila, vodka, and
vodka,
2 magic
tequila, and
mushrooms.
2 magic. Yeah.
That's what I meant when I said that, like, the artwork
I've
straight away
conjured a
caught me.
little-
It was those 4 pages, and I was like, yeah.
I've conjured a little fuck you, it says under Hannah's.
Yeah.
I love like
Don't you
the
think-
rock band one as well. That they're all portrayed as
Yeah, that one was a good one.
band members.
Yeah, that's a really good one.
I felt, actually, the one thing I didn't like about that is I felt like they didn't give Vi enough attitude in it.
Yeah, Vi kind of looks like she's like, she is the bass player though, so.
Yeah, well, that's true. Maybe that's her attitude because she got stuck with bass.
The
That
bass.
could be it.
Yeah, which would be fair enough if that was the case. Because I was with you, Matt. I really liked Vi a lot. I particularly liked the storyline for her as a dwarf, and I do have a theory though. Because reading it through the second time, Betty appealed to me so much more, and I was sort of like, why was it that it was Vi the first time round? And I was wondering if maybe it was because I felt like she got the most fullest backstory over the 2 books.
Yeah.
Yeah, she
definitely
kind of
has,
does, yeah. Yeah, she definitely gets like the fullest backstory of everyone. For the first 2, anyway.
Yeah. Yeah. I imagine there's going to be a lot more to come and all of that sort of stuff, but I was wondering if maybe that sort of makes us a little bit biased.
I think it
I
might,
just
because
want more now.
the characters grow on you the more you learn about them, whereas so we don't really know much about Betty. Not that much really about Dee either, whereas Hannah and definitely Vi and Hannah you get to know a lot more.
Yeah. Did anybody call the whole that guy was Dee's husband?
No,
Sorry, Kim?
I thought it was going to turn out to be her dad.
Sorry, I just like the picture of Betty with the imaginary.
Oh,
right.
so hard in that scene. Yeah. Sorry, what did you say, Kirsten? About you thought it
I
was
said
her
I thought
father?
it was going to turn out to be her dad.
I know,
I
it looked the way
remember.
he was drawn, it looks like it was, yeah, I thought it was going to be her father. And I don't know whether he's just supposed to be older or whether he's just drawn to look a lot older. Maybe we're just, yeah.
Yeah, I
It's
don't
hard to
know.
tell.
I thought something was said because I just reread. I've read half of the second one. I reread the first one. I'm pretty sure something was said about him being an older dude.
Yeah, I'm sure one of the other characters is like, what are you doing with this old guy or something? And so
Oh,
that was why I was
yes,
like, oh,
yeah.
it's totally going to be her dad. And then it was like,
Yeah.
this is my husband. Oh, okay.
Awkward.
Yeah.
Alright,
Is it
June's
the little one?
I'm typing with June at the same time.
Yeah. The Betty after fighting the troll, and she's like, Hannah, I've got these for you. And they're like fresh
Oh, yeah.
spell ingredients.
Yes.
The troll.
Ingredients.
Oh,
it's
that
so sweet.
scene with Hannah and the arm. I couldn't look. It
Oh.
was like, no, moving.
Is it bad?
Oh, God.
There were so many things in this, Mel, that I was like, I wonder how Mel's going reading this.
Yeah, that's
The thing
what
is
I'm
that
going,
it
oh, I
was
wonder how Mel's going with all this blood.
Swag. I have a reputation, don't I? No, no, gee. The thing is that it was balanced for me. Like, it was there, but the rest of the story was so good. It had the humor, it had the action, it had characters that I was like, whoa, yeah, baby. That I was just like, I can put up with it, and that's the thing. Like, I can pretty much put up with anything if there's enough of what I really enjoy at the same time. Like, I'll watch a scary movie if I'm just fascinated by the plot. The problem is scary movies often don't have a very good plot because all they're interested in doing is scaring you.
Yeah.
I think, what is the one I went and saw? With the horseman, the headless horseman. Sleepy Hollow. I went and saw that years and years and years ago because I was just like, yeah, it was. Oh, I think it might be the last scary movie I actually watched. But I do remember I wanted to go see it. I didn't get dragged to it. I was just like, this is a fascinating story. I'm really interested. I want to go and see what it's all about. But yeah, it was a bit too scary too.
I did like the way the action is drawn in these books. Like,
it was really good in the
sometimes I
digital
find
version with it too.
Yeah, well, and because I have it on that setting where it does one panel at a time, basically. And I sometimes find with comic books that the action parts, I'm like, I can't figure out what's going on here. Whereas the way that it was sequenced was really well done.
Yeah. I just like having that panel by panel thing because it means that you don't get spoiled on what's coming.
Yeah, that's good sometimes.
Yeah, because like that's the problem with I'm sticking deliberately digitally with comics because I like the fact that if you're in a paperback one, when you turn the page, if something surprising is going to happen in a panel as you're going through them, you can see it straight away and there's no missing it. Whereas this
and quite often they do
me.
a whole page spread for the big events too. You know, like you'll have all these panels and then this big thing happens, so they give you a whole page for that. And of course your eye goes straight there.
Yeah, and it's. I mean, don't get me wrong. When I really like something, like I do with these ones, I do still would like to have the paper copy because I'm like, I want to put it on my shelves. I love it, that sort of thing. But I've deliberately restrained myself because I'm like, you won't enjoy reading it that way as much.
I do. I'm really glad that I bought this tablet because I do have Comixology, but I love just like being able to see like just one page at a time as well. And usually when you get ones like this, and even if it's not like the Comixology ones, they'll do that full spread, and you can sort of like zoom in. And don't you think those things they look sort of like the Eldritch horror sort of?
Yeah, I was thinking the very Cthulhu-ish.
Cthulhu-ish. So yeah. I'm like, ugh. and why was Sawyer naked, tied up naked? I'm like, what was the point of the guy taking all his clothes off?
Maybe he's trying to make him feel more vulnerable. Like if you're trying to make someone intimidated, then having them naked is another way to, it's that extra layer of humiliation, I guess,
I also
and making
thought that
you
it
feel
was.
like
Give
you're
the artist-
vulnerable.
I just thought it was good because so often in these books you do deliberately end up getting the female naked because they want to do that for the fanboy sort of thing, and it was nice to have that done in reverse this time.
But very
Gives the artist a
surprising.
chance to
Still used
practice
to it.
Sorry?
drawing penises, which they don't normally get to do.
Yeah.
I've done it wrong.
Oh dear.
I'm flipping through pages because I've forgotten what happened at the end of the book too.
Is it safe? Hell no.
So good.
Now I need to
must
know when
admit,
volume 3
I'm
is coming out.
jealous of the fact that you can hold them up and people can see it though.
Yeah. This one's lovely. This screen is beautiful. Compared to my old one, though. My old tablet was so bad.
I was actually worried that my little phone wouldn't be good for reading it on because when I first read them, I read it on my iPad mini. But actually it was fine on the phone. The only difference is that I tended to flip it more because if the page was orientated in one direction or the others, whereas I never did that with the mini. What did everybody think about Vi and Dave together?
That was kind of cute. I love his bluebird.
Bluebirds!
Bluebirds in his pee.
Should I get rid of the birds? Did I say anything about the birds?
I just like that their group was called the Daves.
Yes,
The Daves. It's the 4 Daves.
And then, I scrolled past the page earlier. It was the Daves, the 4 Daves, the Rat Queens, Peaches, Brother Ponies, and Obsidian Darkness.
And they don't even
Obsidian Darkness.
They don't even try to hide the fact that they're all groups of 4, like a group of 4. They're not like, no, we're not putting variances. It's only going to be 4. That's it.
And there's 4. Yeah.
Although really, if you had 3 other friends that you were adventuring with and you all had the same first name, would you not use that as your group name? Because honestly, what's the likeliness that you're going to find 3 other people that you want to adventure with that you all have the same name?
Dave.
Hey, they could have been ironic and called themselves like
I
the.
recognise that people do have the same names because, like in books, people will deliberately name their characters so they don't get confused. And this one was like, stuff that, they're all Dave.
All of them, all day.
And we're just going to call them the Daves.
Yeah, we'll just call them the Daves, and everyone will think it's a great joke, and we'll just differentiate them by, what their role is or what race they are or whatever. But no one
It
will
worked.
care.
We did think it was funny.
Because I actually thought when the Peaches were dying in the first one, like, when they went on their first adventure and the assassin was there, I thought for sure the Daves were going to be gone or, there'd only be one left or something along those lines because, that seems like the logical thing to do if you've got 4 characters with the same first name. If you want to bring one of them out as a main character, you'd get rid of all the rest of them, right, so that he stands out. But they didn't, and they kept them all, and I was like...
I'm glad this isn't a written book because you'd get so confused.
That helps, I must admit.
How did you
Especially
feel?
if they were
Did you
talking
read
to
the
each
second
other
one,
as
Mel?
well.
Sorry?
We did, didn't we? Everyone read the second one?
Has anyone not read the second one? Okay, good. You're good to go.
So how did you deal with the no eyeballs, Mel?
That was gross.
Wasn't
That one
gross?
actually reminds me. Have you guys seen the? Have you guys seen them? I want to call it a meme, but it's not really a meme. It's always like
I know what you're going to say.
Those things where they're advertising some medical miracle or something along those lines, and they'll have a picture. They've taken this flower thing that exists with the holes like that, and they Photoshop it onto something like someone's cheek or something, and say, "Look what it was like, and they fixed it," or something along those lines.
Yeah, it's a lotus flower thing.
Yeah.
And I was
Yeah,
thinking the exact same thing when I read it as well. That was what it reminded me of too.
Yeah. So I wasn't freaked out because all I was doing was going, it's just a flower. It's just a flower.
See, it reminded me of like one of those little parasite things. So
Yes.
I'm thinking of
They
some.
should've
There
gone
must be
nom,
some
nom, nom.
horror movie where one of those is in
Yes.
the ground and they've got all those teeth. Yeah, I can't remember what
I'm
it
pretty
is.
sure
but-
I've seen like the photoshopping of, where they swap your features around, so your eyeballs are where your mouth should be and your mouth is where your eyeballs should be.
Yeah.
Actually, with teeth, it almost looks like the Sarlacc.
That's it. That's the It's, it kind of looks like Sarlacc with teeth, but I'm pretty sure someone's used it in some other movie and looks very much like the Sarlacc, but with teeth. But I'm sure it's in a movie. Probably some terrible horror movie that I've watched, but there's not. I don't like jump out scary movies like monster movie sort of things.
Yeah.
Like Tremors. I've seen every Tremors movie, including the last one they made this year.
Crazy people. Watching
Yeah.
scary movies.
They're terrible, but they're hilarious. I mean, they named one of the creatures what is it, a fart blaster? Flying fart blaster, because when it expels gas from its anus, which ignites and it propels it forwards.
Okay.
It's a comedy. It's not really a horror. It's a comedy.
Yeah.
A monster
Okay,
movie.
that explains it.
Yeah. I think the first one has who is it? I can't remember his name. I should look it up. You'll know who it is.
Just remember, it's got the dad from Family Ties.
Yeah. Yes, he's in all of them. He's even in the last one they made this year. Kevin Bacon. Kevin Bacon's in the first one.
Oh,
wow.
wow.
Yeah.
You see his bum?
No, I don't think you see his bum in
See his
this
bum
one.
in pretty much everything. He does.
He's not the fart blaster, no.
No.
That was a good one, Matt.
Yeah, my hit rate's about 1 out of 10.
Dustin. You both
Look at
did
your
that.
own risk.
What is that? Why am I clicking
That's
that?
the
The
thing that
thing
we
we're
were
talking about with the eyes.
There's a Photoshop thing from a lotus seed.
Mm.
A breast. I'm clicking on something that says breast rash.
Yeah.
And it's it's one of those email warning
It looks so
things.
funny.
I know. There's grosser ones as well. I didn't even post. There's one with someone going like this, and they've got their eye, and they've sort of put those things where the eye is, which is probably what
Oh, yes.
stuck in my head with the eyes thing. But it's bad.
Yeah. It's really bad because if you think about it on your skin, you're like, oh my god, I'm so creeped out or anything. But then you remember it's just a flower, and you're like, oh.
Come on, mind.
Funny.
Get to grips.
There's actually a name for this phobia of holes, though, because I was googling it,
Oh, yes.
and
Isn't it
there's
that's
actually
one of the
a
YouTubers?
phobia.
Um,
I don't know.
Trypophobia or something like
Yeah,
that.
that's what it is.
Yeah.
I did look at when I was trying to find this picture. It was one of the things that came up was this trypophobia or something like that.
So that's the feeling that's in my stomach when I look at that picture.
Trypophobia. Trypophobia.
Rightio. Gosh, it's just what I needed to know that I had another phobia. Thank you very much. Excellent. So I wanted to talk about Dee a little bit because I thought it was her aspect of the storyline in terms of her not believing in the god but being able to use the magic that's associated with her faith was fascinating. I think there's going to be something really good behind all of that eventually.
Well, she said later on, didn't she, that it wasn't that she didn't believe that not that the way that they did, like their faith was.
Yeah.
Well, she said that she originally, I don't think she believed that they had power, but the power didn't come from a god. But at the end of the second book, she's like, okay, he exists. But definitely she said, I'll do everything to protect everyone, protect my people from him.
Because I think that's the thing.
Yeah.
Just because someone's worshipping something doesn't mean that you necessarily have to see it as a god.
Yeah.
Well, she's kind of going, well, I do see that he's a god, but I don't think we should worship him. I think we should,
Yeah.
I just
ourselves
love
from
this
it instead of
picture.
Yeah, it's so
Sorry,
good.
it's so great.
Yeah.
Just because it's like you know, she's in the male position of power, and he's the one draped over her like a sexy woman, you know. I really like that.
There's another picture where they're kissing, and he looks quite masculine in it too. So I love the fact that they're just gender flipping all over the place. Like it's not about the fact that he's playing the female role and she's playing the male role. It's that they're people into themselves, and they just do their thing.
This one.
Is that the one where? Yeah. I really liked that one.
Yeah.
And they're like, you've got to keep on fighting now. And she's like, do I have to? You know, something like that. Like, we don't have time for that now, but I want to now.
Yeah, but I want it.
I think that's the other aspect. I think I've picked my two characters because I obviously like the romance aspects.
Yeah.
I think it's kind of weird when it was like you just realise in this panel that Sawyer's walking around completely naked, and then Dave's like looking down, talking to him. Like, oh yeah, he's still naked, obviously.
I must admit, I hadn't gotten to that bit in my reread. Excellent point.
It's like his eyes are definitely drawn looking down.
I did not pick up on that.
And there was a slight little smile on his face. Like one side of his mouth is turned upward.
I think that's the thing that was really good about this book, is that I think that there's a lot of visual clues about the characters and little comedy things inside of it. Like, you've really got to look at the artwork. And like, because some of them, like, I think Saga's a good example of it. Don't get me wrong, I love Saga, adore Saga, but it's very much about the big impact type thing. It's less about the subtlety most of the time. Like, the subtlety is in the writing, not so much in the visuals. And this one, I think, has a lot of subtlety in the visuals as well, and maybe even less than the writing in a lot of respects. So it's like, interesting.
You know, after the battle, that they all sort of look haggard and worn down and worried, and they're picking themselves up, and it's got a lot of that as well. So it sort of shows, you know,
genuine
it's
battle,
not like fight and we're all good again. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, they Vi especially is constantly getting injured throughout it.
Yeah.
I mean, yes, there's magic to heal you, but at least it's not saying, oh, yeah, but you're so amazing that you're never going to get injured in any of the 15 fights.
Yeah.
Yes.
And it was that only one of them had power to heal them as well, so that person had to be available to heal them, and it still hurt to heal as well. So
there was repercussions behind it all.
Yeah. I wonder if it costs anything. Like, I wonder if it'll go more into her magic and where it comes from.
Well, I assume so. There's been some suggestions to Hannah's magic in terms of it was the Peach Girl. I think her name started Tizzy, I want to say, but
something like that.
And their history and what kind of magic she's using and things along those lines. So there's two hints to Hannah's past. There's I can't remember his name now, but the naked dude, their history there. But then you've also got her history with magic and her parents and stuff as well. So
yeah, and the last panel is something about her receiving a call. I love that she's got a like thing there, and they're like, everyone should have one of those. It's like, no, not for what it costs. But yeah, something's happened to her father, so you know that the next one's going to be more about her. So they're really focusing a lot on Hannah at the moment.
Well, I think the thing is with an ensemble cast like this, it's going to take a while to explore each character. You're not going to get the in-depth.
Yeah.
That's what I like about ensemble casts, though, because you're sort of getting little hints as you go along, and
it's unraveling and keeping you interested. And
and hopefully there's sort of this ongoing storyline that's going through it that will get sort of brought back to it all and resolved in the end, sort of thing. It's nice. Did anybody read the preview that came on the digital version? I'm not even sure if it was in the printed version. It might have been.
I did, but it was so long ago I can't remember.
Yeah, I read it.
Is it like four short stories, isn't it?
No. This is the preview one, and it's basically just 1, 2, 3, 4. Sorry, the pages and numbers. Stop counting, Melanie. There's only 12 pages, counting the cover and the back.
Yeah, I remember feeling guilty for listing it as read on Goodreads and having it count towards my
That's
my
yeah. I
reading.
didn't
And then I was like,
list-
oh, I don't care because I'm not going to get through it if I'm going to have trouble getting there anyway.
So in case you guys want to know, basically it's a story where Hannah wakes up and she's crawling through this horrific situation and it's all horrible and she's like, I've got to save myself, I can't save you people. And she gets out and it turns out she's just had a drunken night out. So it's just a gag one, but it was hilarious. I loved it. She's saying so many good things. Like even if I don't think you can buy it if it's not in the printed books, I assume not. So I'd recommend, it doesn't cost you anything, just get it off Comixology so that you can read it for the laugh. Actually, no, it might be the one with 4 little stories, but they're one
I thought there was like a little introduction to each character, and that was
yes,
the preview.
it's one page. Yeah, I can see that. Sorry, I'm looking at the tiny little view to be able to tell. But yeah, it looks like there's a page for each of them. So yeah, after Hannah's initial one, which is about 6 pages, then it's got 1 page for them each, sort of as an intro thing. Actually, oh yes, that's right. I remember now. It's the How to Successfully Court 101, and each of them say how to court people.
That's right.
So yeah, but yeah, it was quite funny. She's crawling through the world, going, "Oh, where is it? Get out of there!" Thank you. So there's someone calling out, "Help me," and she's like, "Let's avoid that disembodied voice." And someone grabs her and, "I need water. Everyone's got needs, old man." And she's crawling out of this dark room or cabin or whatever it looks like, and people are all around bodies and stuff, and she gets outside and all the girls are like, "You got so drunk last night, huh?" She calls it Escape the Black Pit of, yeah, anyway.
I did read that a long time. Like I read that before I read the one.
I think
that was a while.
I reread it this time because I was like, I can't actually remember what was in it, but I knew it was really short, so I reread it and I was like, oh yeah, that's right, that was really funny. I also got the Braga special,
which I
saw
haven't
that
read
there
yet.
on Comixology.
Still haven't read.
I haven't reread it, so I don't remember the details, but I do remember enjoying it. I think you said, Matt, that you thought maybe they'll do a collection and put it all together eventually?
Well, because they numbered it, so it was like special number 1, and whenever I see them number something, I sort of assume that, oh, okay, it's going to be one of a series of specials, but it's been a year, and there's been no further ones, so...
Maybe it didn't have the popularity.
Or they haven't got another good idea for a single issue that's not, the main character storyline kind of thing.
I suppose that's the thing. The whole point of it is to give backstories of non-main characters. So
yeah.
But, that one's out there. I don't know if that one was printed either, guys. So just might be a Comixology thing. I can't believe I paid money for it. By the time I finished the first 2 volumes, I was like, I need more Rat Queens.
I'm downloading that preview thing. Oh, ask me for my password. Oh, God.
Good luck.
Yeah.
Just tell us all so we can do it for you in the future.
Speaking of Comixology, right, Comixology's been built out by Amazon.
Yep.
So they came up with a thing now where you can merge your accounts, and they said, and then all of your comics from Kindle will then appear in your Comixology app. And I'm like, oh, awesome, that means I can put Nimona into Comixology. That's what I would really like to do. Thank you very much. So I did it all for no other reason than that reason, because I really didn't need to do it for any other reason. They lie.
Yeah, it says, the fine print says selected titles.
Yeah.
Liars.
And here's the really annoying thing, like for those people who read or are going to read Nimona digitally, on my Kindle app, on the phone or on my iPad, it does the pop-up thing, but it's just like a small little pop-out. You can still see most of the rest of the page when it's doing it.
Ah, okay.
So it's the same way to activate it, you just double tap. I didn't realise until I was like halfway through the book. But on the Kindle, it actually does the full pop out. The problem is it's all in black and white.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wouldn't read a comic on my Kindle. I don't even know
Well,
if my
I thought-
Kindle would let me do it.
I just wanted to see what it'd be like how Nimona would look in that environment and how it would operate. So it was just, it wasn't because I planned on reading it there. I knew I was going to read it on my phone, but I just wanted to see what it would be like in there. And I was definitely sold on definitely going back to my phone, but I was really pissed off the fact that the pop-out thing works properly on the Kindle but not on my phone in the Kindle app, which is where the Comixology thing came from.
Yeah.
Frickin' Amazon. They don't make things easy, do they?
No.
I'm not sure how I feel about Comixology being owned by Amazon either.
No.
They
Does
got
Amazon
bought
even
quite
have
a while
book
ago.
depository now, don't they?
Sorry, Kim, I missed that.
Amazon own book depository as well, don't they?
Yeah, they own a lot of them, actually, and a lot of them that you don't necessarily know. And yeah, Matt,
Yeah.
I realised after they asked me to merge it, I realised that I'd been paying with my Amazon account for a little while, but I hadn't merged the accounts. And I was like, oh, well, that time ago when I paid for these comics, that's when they must have bought them out.
Just took them ages to sort of like brand it as the thing, like, an Amazon company, which they have now. I'm like, looks horrible. Get rid of that off your logo.
The problem is that it also means they'll probably end up integrating it with the Amazon website, because that's what they're starting to do with Audible now. A lot of the time when you click on links to go to Audible to look at a book, it'll take you to Amazon instead of to Audible now.
Yeah, it's a bit of a pain.
It is a pain because the details you get on the Audible page are very different from what you get on the Amazon page, the Audible page. I want to know what people think about the voice actor.
Yeah.
I also like the way that Audible does the prompts of questions for reviews, so people don't just write whatever they want. They actually have prompting questions.
Yeah. It's always a good way to do reviews. That way you get more, rather than, because people sometimes write reviews and if they've got a prompt of certain questions, then it makes it more thorough and they actually think about it and put in things that people want to read.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, well, it kind of gives you the information you want to actually know about, rather than...
Yeah. Rather
Well,
than
that's
them
a lot of
retelling the
comics.
story.
Geez,
Although
have I never used Comixology on this? Sorry.
No, although I must admit, sometimes I actually want them to retell the plot in the review, because that's how I find out what I've missed when I've forgotten what the review was about. Or if something that I want to happen in the book's going to happen, or if it's going to go the wrong way, and then I don't want to read it.
I don't want to read it.
I love this little loading thing on Comixology. The message keeps changing to it's like still working. We promise it won't be too long now.
Yeah.
It's keep changing just to let you know it's still going.
Although I'm actually having some problems with the app at the moment, where it's every time I open up a comic. So I was halfway through reading volume 2 today, this afternoon, and I closed it to go back to volume 1 when we started the hangout, and now when I reopen it, it's taking me back to the first page.
Oh, it didn't save where you were up to, yeah.
And since we've been in the hangout, I've flipped to other pages, and it keeps doing it. Every time I close it and go to something else and come back into it, it keeps coming me back to this beginning page. I'm like, that's not good, guys.
No, it wasn't doing that with mine and not when I was reading it today, but I was reading on the iPad, but that shouldn't make any difference.
I've never had this happen before, but they've got, you know how on the Comixology app they've got the little green line that sits underneath telling you how much you've read?
Yep.
I've noticed it's not updating. It's stuck wherever it was ages ago, and that's where it's returning me to, because it's doing it on the first volume now. But it's
happened
like
with my
3/4.
Kindle once. I can't remember. It was a long time ago now, and I don't remember what I was reading. But I remember it doing that exact same thing, like kept not remembering where I was up to.
Yeah. I've had problems with Kindle in terms of whisper syncing and stuff like that.
I've never tried to whisper before.
Well, I've been, like, sometimes if one of my devices dies, I'll want to flip to the other device and keep reading while the other one's charging. And
yeah.
And so I would want the Whisper Sync to work for that reason. It works for me now, but I went for years where it never worked for me ever. The only book it ever worked for me was Game of Thrones, which I got to admit.
Very glad Game of Thrones.
Yeah, that's one that you wanted to work on.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, definitely one you wanted to work on.
yeah. Anyway. So does anybody have anything else for Rat Queens?
No.
I thought Hannah looked a little bit like Kyla.
Oh, really?
Just a little bit. I don't know why. There was one particular, I was looking for it earlier, I couldn't find it, but there was one particular frame where she looked a lot like Kyla.
I can see what you're going with that.
I can see that. Sorry, I had to look at the book again and go,
Yeah.
no, I can see
There are
that.
a few scenes where she really does not look like Kyla.
I was thinking about that the other day, like, this ties into Nimona a little bit. When I was reading Nimona again, I was thinking the artwork's not actually that special. Like, it's kind of childish a little bit, which is probably what she's going for, and that's fine. I'm not criticizing it or anything. It's perfectly fine. But I was thinking about looking at it. It was like almost anybody can do a comic today. I don't think it actually requires true drawing skill. I think what's required now is consistency, to be able to redraw your character in a way so that they're recognizable as that character.
Well, two of the best web comics out there is Dinosaur Comics and what's the other one? I have mental blank.
You're talking about
Dinosaur Comics, just literally the same panels with dinosaurs in every single comic. He just changes the words. And the other one, what am I thinking of? I don't know. It's just like stick figures.
XKCD.
Yeah, that's it. It's like absolutely no drawing skills required, but your writing has to be better.
Yeah.
Cyanide and Happiness is like that too.
Yes, Cyanide and Happiness. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the other one I was trying to think of. Yeah.
Mm. You know, talking about that makes me appreciate Noel Stevens' art a little bit more. Should give her more credit.
Yeah, and especially if she writes and draws it, because a lot of comics are obviously two different people.
Yeah.
Well, that was one of the things. Like I knowing that and knowing that she's not necessarily what you would call a specialized artist, I was like, I don't care. It didn't matter. The story was that good, and it depicted the story. So that was what I liked.
It is by written and drawn by Noel, and it was originally released as a webcomic.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, it's the original webcomic, so it's just the webcomic.
That's been printed.
Printed, yeah.
Yeah.
And I noticed
Really
it's also
cool,
by
man.
Harper Teen, so this would be considered a teen book.
Yes.
Which when I thought about that, I kind of like it a little more. But should we go on to this one now?
Yes,
Yeah.
we're moving on, guys.
Well, I must say goodbye
No,
to
no.
them. So then you can be all spoilery without.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay. Before you guys go,
You're
can
gonna-
I just ask you a quick organisational question for Lud?
No.
Could you please?
I don't listen to him. I would recommend you not listen to him either.
Yeah, sorry, he reminds me of my brother-in-law. He always answers the questions. It's annoying, right? Kirsten, when are you due?
4th of March.
So, Matt, your next pick, I should have opened it up before I did this.
Isn't
Your
it
next
June?
pick- It's June. Are you going
Because
to be
I made a
good
comment about it. Sorry?
Oh, did you? I couldn't remember. I was just thinking about it the other day, and I was like,
It's
oh,
it's my birthday month. So I was like,
that's
very
right.
Oh,
that's
yeah.
what I remember,
Oh,
yeah.
yes.
I just wanted to check, like, you feel like you're going to be on board enough for doing a book by that point in time, or whether you would like to switch out with somebody, but then actually that doesn't really work either, because if it's March, it's sooner. So you might want to switch out till later in the year.
From experience, it's not really going to make any difference. You know, like with Xander, it probably wasn't until he was about 7 months old before he started sleeping through the night, and we started feeling like human beings again. So,
Yep,
you know,
fair enough.
and
I just
all
thought
of the
I'd
people that I know keep telling me girls are worse. So it's going to be interesting. I'm in denial. I reckon. Oh no, this baby's going to sleep.
Hey,
Surely.
apparently I was a perfect baby and I'm a girl, so.
Yep. Apparently, I was much better than my brother as well. Mum said the only time I cried when it was right before dinner and I was hungry. So.
There you go.
Yep.
There's hope. But yeah, so just an option, Matt, if you wanted to let me know. But there's
I think it'll be fine.
Yeah, cool. Alrighty then.
Cool.
Well, it's very nice
Star
to
Wars
see you.
Day. Happy Star Wars Day for next week. Won't see you then.
Ah. I should probably book
I'm so
at some
excited.
point, I guess.
Have you noticed Star Wars stuff is everywhere? I went to Browsing and
Yeah.
Star Wars stuff is in Browsing. There's like Millennium Falcon kids' pencil cases and everything. I'm like, I kind of want.
I bought
I really need one.
It is everywhere.
It is everywhere.
Every single store. It's like
Woolies.
I was so disappointed. I think it's Rimmel are doing Star Wars makeup.
Oh,
I saw a
wow.
picture of the
I went to my
mascara
local
or
Priceline.
something.
Yeah, and lipsticks, like 3 different colour lipsticks and everything. I went to my Priceline, there was 1 tube of 1 colour left. I'm like,
Wow.
really?
It's
I'm like,
amazing how much
seriously?
branding
No, it wasn't
goes
even on
in
sale.
colours.
It wasn't even a sale for time.
Well, it goes to show, you know, they market it to generally to boys, but it goes to show that obviously a lot of girls like Star Wars, or a lot of boys are wearing
They
makeup.
went out of, they obviously knew it was going to sell because makeup's not exactly something boys buy, so they went ahead and did it, and it worked.
They
Obviously,
can't
worked at my
they
local
can't
Priceline.
put female action figures though in the toys.
Oh,
You know,
It's like boobs are too hard for them.
they don't even have to do boobs. I don't know I can't remember what that chick's name is, but the chick with the armor thing, like she doesn't look.
You're talking about the character or the actress?
What's
Wow.
the character that I'm talking about? The one
Captain
that
Phasma.
yes. So she doesn't even look
Gwendolyn,
like a
what's her
chick,
face?
so it's not like it's going to be harder for her to cast. Like you can't tell from the armor, which is what I like about it. But there was a thing about, I think it might have been on the Mary Sue I read about it, like it was Target was advertising it as a boy's costume, like they had it as a costume, but it was a boy's costume. But the
It's girls'
character is female, but you know.
Hey, boys or girls? I thought Target was.
I know, but it actually said boys'
That's Target
costume. Like,
US.
why can't they
US.
just write
US.
Captain
Yeah.
Phasma or whatever her name is
Yeah.
costume and not put a
Yeah.
gender on the costume at all?
I thought Target
Okay.
was stopping that.
Americans went crazy when one of the what was it Target?
Yeah, I think it was
labeling
Target.
girls
Yeah.
and boys, and they're like, I'm not going to shop here anymore. And everyone's pointing out that most stores don't have girls and boys toys labeled. Target was one of the few
No.
that did, and people were going nuts. And
Yeah.
I think someone was saying like before the 70s or something, they were never labeled either. So it's only recent that
I actually think it's
department
even more.
stores ever label girls and boys.
I really think it's even more recent than that. Like, I
Yeah,
don't
probably
remember there being
80s.
this big divide, even when I was a kid in
not
the
when I was
80s.
little.
No.
Probably, yeah. I think maybe in the 70s, maybe it was America in the 70s, and we were a bit later. But even now, I don't really notice. I've only
I
ever
just get
noticed
annoyed
like
with
the
the
Barbie aisle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The pink. It's just so pink.
Yeah.
Anyway. Sundays. Does everybody need a break to get drinks and stuff before we start on Nimona?
I'll go for a drink.
Sure.
Oh, my
Well, we
little
might
baby.
say goodbye before you have your break
Alright.
then.
Okay, okay.
And
Bye.
See you
happy
guys.
Merry
Have a
Christmas
good
to everyone, because I
Christmas.
probably won't see you
Oh,
before then.
yeah.
Yeah.
Merry Christmas, everyone.
Yeah.
Merry Christmas.
We might.
Secret Santa.
I look eagerly forward to all the Secret Santa posts.
Yes.
Yes.
That's the best part about Christmas.
By the way, G, well done on restraining yourself.
That's just, you know.
I think my Secret Santa's gonna know who mine's from because when I ordered the package and they put mine on it rather than theirs. So I didn't say get that. So my Secret Santa's gonna know. I'm like, did you change it to this? Because I wasn't familiar with the checkout process and I didn't realise that it asked for the billing address and I put in the billing address and then it's like, right, you're done. I'm like, but what about the delivery address? So I had to email them. And I'm like, can you put these counties in?
Oh.
And they're like, okay, we've done that. And then I got an email going, it's to, there's the right address, but it's with my name at the top. I'm like, oh.
Oh dear.
Don't
Yeah,
worry.
usually if it says, especially when it says billing address and not just address, you assume that it's going to ask you for the shipping address separately.
Yeah. Therefore, like every other site that says billing address, I assumed it would have a shipping address. Yeah.
Yeah, well, usually they do shipping address, and you can tick box if it's the same as the billing address,
Yes.
and then they'll give you a second one.
Yeah.
I don't know, maybe it was the way I checked out. Maybe there was a different way to check out. But yeah, for some reason it did that. And I'm like, oh, all right. Now I'm done. What do I do?
All right, guys, we'll call a couple of minutes break, and I'll be back in a couple of minutes to do Nimona. Okay?
Okay.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
Merry Christmas.
Au revoir. See you.
Bye.
You got your tail, Dixie. Got your tail. Drink. What are you doing, mister? Where are you sleeping?
Oh, I feel like such a zombie today.
I think I'm probably going to feel like that till Christmas.
No, I stayed up for the Project for Awesome last night till 3 a.m.
Oh, wow.
And then Bella decided that 8 o'clock was enough of a sleep in for me this morning. So
I
I've been up
guess.
since 8. So I feel like a bit of a zombie. It was really fun though.
Better than Kiki, she wakes me up at sunrise, which is 5:30 in the morning. Every morning. I'm like, no, I just sit there and she taps me. She sits there and taps me, and I'm like, bugger off, bugger off.
See, no, the pets aren't allowed in our room, so. Not allowed in the room. Although he
Well,
is
it's just me,
sleeping.
so they sleep with me. Every time I wander into the kitchen, they both go in there because I think they're getting food.
Come here. Come here.
Right. What do you think I'm going to put more food in there? You just had dinner. Yeah, that doesn't matter. This one puts his head in the other one's bowl because she eats too slow.
Kitty time.
I swear, they knock everything over. They're not graceful at all. They fall off of things all the time. And including my chair.
So
Like,
much falling off of things.
where's my air conditioning on? It's so hot. Oh, Dad turned it. Yeah, Dad's been over. He's turned it up. Like true Dad. Don't need the air conditioning on. Don't need the air conditioner. Don't need the heater. So cute.
Oop. Nope, he's done.
Yep.
I get about like a minute of cuddles before he's like, no, I'm done. I'm done, wench.
Yeah.
I don't know what you want, but you can't have this anymore.
Kiki's like that, but Tombo's usually like, you're sitting down, right, lap.
Ugh. It's a lap time.
Although he likes my shoes, so if he's not sitting on my lap, he has his head on my shoes or he's beating up my shoes. So every time I pick up my work shoes, they got covered in cat fur.
Just
Likes to beat up my work shoes and my bath mat. So every single morning, I get out of the shower and I have no bath mat to stand up because it's in a pile underneath him. Like, thanks, I gotta stand on the freezing cold floor. Ooh, what are you eating?
ice cream and chocolate magic.
Oh, Choc Magic, I haven't had that in years.
I
I
was
used to have to have mint Choc Magic.
see, I don't like mint chocolate, so I've just got the basic plain stuff. We went to archery the other day, and I was afterwards, let's get ice cream. You want to get Cold Rock? And I was like, no, what I really want is vanilla ice cream and Choc Magic.
I still actually have vanilla ice cream in my freezer, and I haven't been eating it.
Yummy.
It's really good. I think Naomi's gone to get ice cream.
I've got ice blocks. What is it? Mum and I have gone to Right Price a couple of times, and it's just like the out of date but still good stuff and everything like that, the overstock stuff. And I've bought 2 packs of 20 ice blocks, so they're sort of like cheapy brand icy poles, but they're 99 cents a pack.
Wow.
And I think because the colours of all sort of like the colours weren't very good, so they all look very similar. I'm like, 99 cents, that's great. I go there and there's like these biscuits I love, and they're like $4, and they're like 69 cents there when they have them there. I'm like, 10 packets, please. Mum's like, isn't that enough? I'm like, no, because I go through a packet of these a week.
Wow.
Well, they're only like five little packets. So I have one every workday. So I'm like, no, I have to buy all of them.
Still, like, what does it matter if they're similar? My thing is that when they're all different, I don't actually like all the different flavours, so I end up eating certain ones. I'd prefer a pack that has more similarity than differences.
Yeah. Buy the ones you like, otherwise you just leave them to the end, and then you're like, I just want a new pack.
Exactly. Although, at 99 cents, I've got to admit, if there's one
they all taste great, and I don't know which colour's which most of the time. I can sort of half guess. It's kind of like a guessing game. But they're all like, cola, and they all taste like sweet sugar. So,
which is all you're really eating it for anyway.
Yeah.
What did you get, G? A beer?
Huh? I got given I don't drink red very often because it makes me emotional. But I got given a bottle of Pinelli Cabernet Merlot, which is a winery down the road that my friends own or something. So I'm drinking that at the moment. That's alright. It's nice to have every now and again, but if I drink too much, I end up crying.
I do that on white wine, but I don't drink red, so probably be worse on red.
See, I'm worse on red than I am on white. Yeah. That's only because I get drunk on red.
But I can only have, I can drink this a glass at a time, whereas white I tend to drink a bit more.
Yeah, red goes a lot slower.
Yeah.
Yeah. I had my work due on Saturday, and I reckon I drank the least, and I'm usually not the one to drink the least. But it's funny. We had, because we went out for lunch. We went out for lunch with like all the group of clinics, and we went to the Adelaide Bowling Club. So we played bowls. I've never played bowls before. It was fun, but we all got like all us girls were like in strapless, like strappy dresses. So we all got like get sunburned, but luckily they had sunscreen. But the tops of my feet are really burnt. But yeah, we did that, and yeah, we're talking about like a couple of the girls wanted to go out for dinner afterwards. We're like, yeah, we should do that. And we mentioned that, and the boss was like, okay, so we booked it. So we took us out for dinner as well, just our clinic.
Wow.
And then we went back to one of the other owners' houses, and he has a tennis court in his backyard. His house is beautiful. So we're playing tennis. I didn't play tennis, but playing some tennis and sitting around the table having drinks. And then I was a bit too tired, but three of the people I work with, they're still in their mid to early 20s. No, one's 18. But they all went out as well. They went to the Botanic Bar and then somewhere else, and they were out till 3 a.m. If we'd gone out for dinner, I probably would have gone out with them. But since I got up at early in the morning to get ready and all of that, I'm like, no, I'm gonna die. I went home, took a taxi with the boss and his wife, and the boss kept asking the taxi driver the same thing because he was drunk, and and she fell asleep next to me. I'm like, usually it's me.
Party ever.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. We have great ones. The boss is like, yeah, just buys whatever we want. We're like, we'll pay. They're like, two of the girls just started this year, and so they've never had a Christmas party with us. And they're like, oh no, we'll pay. And they're like, no, you're not paying. I'm like, see, I told you. He won't let you pay for everything. Pays for the taxi home. He gave me $20 because they got dropped off first, and I gave it back to him because I didn't need any more money. But yeah, he's like, here's some money for the rest of the taxi ride. So, and he hired a bus to pick us all up to take us there as well.
Wow.
And yeah, so I need a job, Kim.
We get treated terrible.
You gonna move to Adelaide?
Maybe. I'll probably have to go remote sometime with what I'm doing anyway, so why not Adelaide?
Yep. This remote enough, isn't it? Feels like it's sometimes.
My sister called me up the other day. She's just taken a 6-month contract in Cairns, and she's sent me photos of her view from her office, and it's like the bay and the rainforest, and I hate you right now. Oh.
So did you get ice cream?
Yeah, I got ice cream with chocolate sauce and sprinkles.
Awesome. All right, guys, how about we get started on Nimona? Because I have to get up at 5 in the morning.
Oh, jeez.
Nimona! Towards my right.
Hey, look at this. We're down to 4 people. I had 12 people registered to come to this. Oh, actually, sorry. I'm not sure if June's there or not.
I'm not sure.
Oh, I had some messages. Oh, right.
He was talking about
somebody's internet. No. He sent me some private stuff as well, but it was just about his internet again, so I just missed it. Oh, good. Okay, Nimona. Share thoughts. What did you think, guys? Anybody want to
I thought it was cute. Yes, I wouldn't say it's my favourite, but it was cute.
Yeah.
But yeah, I definitely think it's for a slightly younger audience than us.
And it makes sense when you know it's like a webcomic and it was released a bit at a time.
Yeah.
I feel like there needs to be, like, I need more story.
Yeah.
And know it's like, still doing it.
What happened with, and why, and how, and...
Yes. It's like, what about so what is this, Golden Loin? And they're like, huh? I want to know more, I want to know.
Yeah.
I'm so excited. Like, the book, yeah, it was directed at a younger sort of audience. Like, it wasn't really an adult sort of story. It was still really fun to read, but I got to the end and I was like, but what happened to her? Where did she go? Where's he gone?
Yeah.
What are they doing?
But what I really loved about it was that it didn't feel like it had to answer every question. Like, I thought that was good.
Yeah. It
like
sort of
having more.
It left a lot to the imagination. It did leave a lot to the imagination, and I sort of, I guess the ending just before it happened, just before it revealed everything, and I'm like, I was right.
Which bit are you talking about that you were right about, sorry?
That she was setting it up so that he'd come out as the hero, and she was planning to like bring down the institution. Is that what it's called? It?
Yeah.
And that she was sort of like playing that she'd sort of like worked the whole thing out and was doing things so that it would end that way. So that they'd end up as friends and the institution would be gone, and she was sort of like played the bad guy all along, not because she wanted to have fun and do it, because she wanted to fix things. So she fixed things being the bad guy.
Because someone had to be the bad guy.
Yeah.
So that he wouldn't be, anyway.
Yeah, made him the good guy.
Yeah.
Well, he wasn't really being a bad guy. He was sort of playing.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. And I love that as well. Like, you start reading it thinking that he is the bad guy, and then as you go along, you're like, no, he's not really the bad guy. He's the good guy, and the institution is the bad guy, and Golden Loin is just sort of stuck in that trap of thinking he's doing the right thing when he's not.
That kind of reminded me a little bit of Dr. Horrible as well, like how Dr. Horrible is like, trying to be this horrible bad guy to get into the academy or whatever, to, be the bad guy. And, it's just foiled every time until some accident came along and, ended up being a bad guy. Yeah, I thought of that the whole way through, actually. And then I watched Dr. Horrible after reading this as well, and introduced my brother to both, which was fun to the extreme, because he read this. I gave him the Rat Queens to read while I was at work, and he picked up Nimona off my bookshelf and finished it by the time I got home. And then Dr. Horrible, which he hadn't seen either, and that was it was fantastic. It was great. Yeah.
But yeah, I like the way it played with that trope. It was really good. I also like the fact that it's especially given that it's for a younger audience, I really like the fact that it played with the whole idea of just because you don't know everything about your friend doesn't mean that you shouldn't still be a good friend to them, and that sort of moral message that it had behind it all.
Yeah, yeah. And I did like that Nimona was very spunky and she sort of did what she liked. She's a cool character. It's like, you probably shouldn't be going around killing everyone, but...
It was really good to see a female who wasn't submissive in that respect. So
yeah.
She just did a thing.
Yeah.
If we want to, like, I can't exactly call her a human female, but, you know.
Yeah.
Wasn't she a dragon?
Yes,
she end up
that's
being
what
a
I mean.
dragon?
Yeah. Just kind of some
that's
black
the
honey
thing.
dragon.
So she says that's her story of where she came from, but from what I could tell, she was actually born a female that wanted to become a dragon, but then that she sort of it became very sort of convoluted as to what was the real story and what wasn't. She seemed to actually have parents in the story where she was trapped originally. Remember, she was down in the hole, and they were saying, "Oh, we had to keep her contained and things."
Yeah, because in that story, it's like her parents gave her up. So it sort of seems that that's more true than her original one where she came back and everyone was dead.
Oh, yeah, of course, and she was a little girl.
That was the original story. She said everyone was dead.
But in both of them, she seemed to start off as a little girl.
Yeah.
And
she was the little girl and the dragon at the end, so...
Yeah, it's just like the dragon was her preferred form, which is why I think she used that as her cover story as opposed to her reality.
Yeah.
Because it sounds cooler.
Yeah. Protection. Yeah. How
My
cool was
favourite
her hair
character.
changing all the way through?
Oh, yeah, that was good. I love the way she just changed her hair. I was like, oh, she changed it. She's
the first time I didn't see it, or they didn't say it. And I was like, did I just see that, or am I imagining something? Did her hair change? I had to flick back. And
was it like
no,
a lighting or something?
I think she lost, like, length or one of the sides or something. It was just like, I'm like, what happened here? Why is her hair changed?
Yeah.
And then it happened every
And that's when I was sitting in front of screen. I thought it was just like that artist rendering where you're in front of a blue screen, so you make things different coloured. I'm like, and then he's like, your hair's not pink, and I'm like, huh? What? Oh, it actually is purple. Okay, it's not just the. I'm glad you mentioned that because.
But there was acknowledgement of it, but that was it. Like, you know, in most of these sorts of things, when a female does something, there has to be some sort of comment about it. You know, oh, it makes you look good, or oh, I don't like it, or whatever. It was just like, oh, okay.
I feel different, she said. And that was how you could always tell her as well in her shape.
Yeah, she was always pink.
Something,
that reddy pink.
About her hair. And that cat, she was the same colour as her hair and the cat.
Yeah, it was like a natural form sort of thing. One of her natural transformed forms. Because, like, not all of them were always pink. Some of them weren't.
I think just most of them were.
Because, like, I'm looking at here where they're battling with Goldaloin towards before he sort of things changed with him. And she's going from Triceratops to a bear to an octopus, and none of them are pink.
Ah, see.
They're all orange or brown or something.
No, the dragon was the orange. The hair was orange then too, though.
Maybe it's supposed to be pink and it's just the light
gorilla.
I don't know.
Oh, yeah, and in the beginning she turns into a cat and it's black, but it has sort of a pinky tint to it. It's like you can see pink under the black.
It's not like you couldn't tell anyway. Like, you could always tell it was her.
You know who she was. They made it obvious.
There was one scene at the very end where there was someone from the crowd came out, like after she'd gone, and someone from the crowd came out and caught him or something as he tripped over, and that was her.
Right, yes.
Yeah.
There's just so many things done in it that I thought was just like, I know it's in like a younger audience, so for us it's obviously not a perfect story in that we would want more from it. But as a story for that particular age group, I just think it's perfect. It's got so many good things in it, like the subtleties of things that are normal and they don't even discuss. It's just there and it's normal. Like especially the relationship between the two guys, and like there's no discussion of it. It's just there. It happened. Whatever. It hinges on certain elements, but it's never made a big deal out of or anything. And I'm like, it is so rare to get a story for young people about that has a gay relationship in it where that's not kind of the point.
Yeah, exactly. It's like it just is what it is, and they don't really go on about it.
No, and you could have changed their genders, and the story could have been exactly the same in terms of what happened between them and all of that sort of stuff. It didn't matter. It was just they were in love, and that's all that mattered. And he got betrayed. Well, he was betrayed really, because he does say that he kind of did it deliberately in the end.
Yeah.
They just forgive each other in the end too.
Yeah.
They kind of just realised that they were being played against each other by the Institute, I think.
But I still think there's an element of needing to forgive each other for that. In that, it's still kind of a choice involved with being allowing yourself to be paid a bit. It just makes it a bit more forgivable.
Well, he was right. He said somewhere, Blackheart, that someone had to step into the role of being the villain, and so why not him or something.
My favourite character was the science dude.
Yeah.
Oh god, I loved him so much with his little device that he developed.
It's like, what does it do? Well, nothing actually, but
it's so sciencey.
It's sciencey.
It's totally science, right? Well, it doesn't do anything, but I'm discovering and learning. Maybe one day it'll have an impact. I don't know, though. I'm still discovering and learning. Whatever.
It's kind of like discovering electricity, really. It's like, you got electricity. Okay, now what do we do with it? I can make a light bulb glow. Okay, right. It's sort of that exact same thing.
Yes, it's exactly it.
Look,
and like when he turned
glow.
up,
All right.
And when he turned up wanting the device, actually, I'm saying he, but I actually thought the character was rather androgynous, and I did not know whether it was a male or a female.
I
thought
think it
they
just
were a
wanted,
female.
like, part of the clothing that it was a female. But that's
Probably was. But
nothing to tell you whether it was or not. It just, the cut of the clothing made me think female, but could just be the shape of the outfit.
I'm actually looking for visual clues when I didn't before, because I just looked at the face and I didn't.
Yeah, because when they first meet them, have you got the 107 I'm sort of looking at, and that's when they first meet.
I'm actually looking at 214 when he turns up wanting the device, and it does look like there's boobs going on.
Yeah. Because I was just looking at her then, and I'm like, isn't the science person a girl? I thought it was a girl. Is it not a girl? Am I wrong? Oops.
No, it's just going, it's an androgynous character. Excellent.
Well, yeah, she is very androgynous. But...
Yeah, aside from the cut of the shirt, there is absolutely nothing to, I mean, long hair, but that's in something like this, the sort of genre it's in, long hair doesn't really mean anything, because Goldenline has long hair. And, but
especially with the way the hair's done too, like it's long, but it's not done in a way that indicates female long at all.
Yeah, it's just back and it's in a ponytail, which looks exactly like you'd draw a man with that kind of hair as well. So they did make it very it's a girl, but they made the whole character very androgynous. It could easily just be a guy. You could just draw the shirt slightly differently in it. Yeah.
Her name's Meredith, which is why I thought it was girl.
There you go.
Oh, I missed the first name. I could only
Dr. Meredith Meyer. Here is my card.
Because I think that's the only time they mention her first name. Well,
yeah. They do the last name, but they don't do the first name. So
yeah.
Yeah, I was like, I'm sure there was the first name.
Yeah,
right.
Because the rest of the time, like even in that scene, he just says doctor, and then describes her, calls her by her last name. So.
But yeah, it's I love the way when he turned up wanting the device, she's all like, sorry, I've got to get my gender right. She's all like, oh, is there something going on?
Didn't you not see the fire? Oh, yeah, I wondered about that. Would you like a cup of tea? Oh, there's not really time. There's always time for a cup of tea.
That's very British. There's always time for a cup of tea.
For a cup of tea. I've got Earl Grey and oolong, take your pick. That would be me, except I'd list about 20 different things.
I missed something there.
Like, I can't remember what any of them taste like at this point, but...
Was I gone for very long, guys?
No.
That's good. Did you hear I said you've got a little visitor behind you, Kim?
Oh, she's up on there again, yeah. She's not in a box, is she? No, she's down there. They actually, both of them, they pull I've seen both of them pull out these things up the top and in the middle and get in them. Like, while they're in the middle or up the top, they get in them. And I'm like, get off of her. Things are in there so cat fur doesn't get on them. And they just pull them out and get in there.
Oh, kittens are funny.
It's like, I expect her to do that. I didn't expect him to do that, but he did. He pulled one out and he got in it. Like, yeah. She's trying to get in one down the bottom at the moment. She's got her paws in it and she's sticking her head in there. And, yep, here she goes. She's in it.
Bad kitty.
Mine pull out my chest of drawers, like with my clothes in them, the heavy wooden drawers. They pull them out.
Can you see it? Oh, there we go. She's gone.
Oh, dear.
You right? Everyone's watching you. Can I push that back in? It's just covered with cat fur now.
You had to pick a black one, didn't you?
Yeah.
All right.
I think I don't have white ones.
When she was in the dome thing and they took the blood, did anybody think she was going to go shishigami as well?
No, I didn't. Not from that, but they're sort of like, as soon as she's sort of like, ha, I'm like, oh, something's going to happen. She's out. She's gotten out somehow.
Yeah, as soon as they took the blood, I was like, oh no, there's a part of her outside now. You guys are all screwed. I love you.
I should have thought of that the way, he cut off her head before and she wasn't dead. Should have twigged, but didn't quite until it took a moment.
I'm not sure whether I twigged or not the first time, but I know the second read I knew immediately, so tainted.
Yeah, the second time you read it, you'd read it.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like I couldn't remember the story exactly, but you do know, like, you have instincts that come from the first reading, sort of thing. And I was like, yeah, I'm tainted. I don't know whether or not I knew or not for sure, but I was just like ready for it to get the whole shishigami thing where the going out trying to bring it back in and stuff from Princess Mononoke. So was almost disappointed. Well, I suppose in some respects it was kind of like that because it was a part of her which had become mindless in terms of how it reacted. It wasn't...
Yeah. It didn't have her brain. It sort of acted on instinct. And the instinct was to protect. But then again, the way it sort of ends up where it seems like she's orchestrated the whole thing, maybe she did have a little more control than it seemed she did.
Possible.
There's so many questions.
I don't know the answer to this one.
Yeah.
Does anybody else think that... I don't know, but I actually got really frustrated with Nimona in the beginning. Like in the first... Oh, I can't even tell you how many pages.
Yeah, well, she is.
She's quite
an annoying
bratty.
brat, yes.
I came to appreciate it later in that she was independent and she wasn't just going to be told what to do and all of that sort of stuff. But yeah, at first I was a bit more on his side and I was like, kind of annoying.
I was a bit like, she's badder than the villain is. Like, what's happening here? like, she shouldn't be the apprentice. He should be. Maybe she's
But
come
she
to
really
teach him
is.
how to be evil.
Yeah. She really is the villain because she does kill people and everything like that. She really is a villain. She does end up, it's very bad the way she fixes things, but she does fix things, but in a very bad way where people die.
Whereas I wouldn't even call him a villain. I would more call him an opposing force to the Institute. He had a different opinion of things.
It's like, this one always cracks me up. I don't know whether you can see it in the dark now, but when she first changed into a shark and scared him, and she's like, "Ooh, I'm a shark." He's like, "Whoa!"
And at the end, she'd leave a note on the doctor's note, and it's like, weren't you just in here? No, I just came off my break. Well, someone came in here. Someone's filled with this shark. I can't make it out. Wait, it's like, I'm a shark. There's a picture of a shark on there. Like, I'm a shark.
I actually wonder, I would love to find an interview or something on those lines with Noella and find out whether or not that little joke with the shark was sort of the stimulus for the story, because I just felt like that was it. That was like the bit that just made it go, this is where I've got a story from.
Yeah.
Because it was hilarious.
Rawr, I'm a shark. I land shark.
Yeah. Who filled this chart? They did it all wrong. Is that a drawing of a shark?
It's drawn the right way too, right? It's like...
Yeah.
Funny little shape.
Oh yeah, I forgot to mention I'm a shapeshifter. Oh yes, you might have mentioned that. Well, I suppose that could be useful. Fine, you're hired. Yes, then she's still a shark with hands and boobs, actually.
Yes, the boobs are still there.
And boobs.
I miss the boobs.
I do like the style of the boobs, like in that they're quite subtle on all the female characters, or non-existent.
Yeah.
Although, as someone with big boobs...
there are a couple where they're obvious, but there is only a couple, whereas, so I think, like, one of the female, like, one of the side characters, she actually has boobs. But it's like there's a variety of different body shapes rather than...
I think the thing is, too, having come from, like, reading Rat Queens, where they almost... as well as, wanting to knock the stereotypes and things like that, they're also quite at the same time like, yeah, sexy females, and quite enjoying that factor of it, and that, so they own it. Whereas in this one, it's really tamed down, and their art style doesn't focus on anything along those lines at all.
My brother said the art reminded him of Adventure Time.
Sorry, I missed that from both of you. I couldn't get that.
I said, how did I not miss the boobs? That's hilarious.
My brother said that the art style was very Adventure Time, and that's kind of the same style of.
Well, it certainly got me thinking, oh my gosh, I could actually do a comic if I really wanted to.
Yeah, I could totally draw this. Did you see the sketches in the back as well?
Yes.
I could do that.
Yeah.
Sorta, some of them, maybe. Probably not.
But,
no.
Well, that's when I started questioning myself, because I was like, it's not so much whether I can draw it, it's whether I can consistently draw it.
Yeah.
Well, Lionel started writing his own comic online, and his drawing's been getting better and better as more strips go up.
There's a difference between getting better and having consistency. Like, absolutely you can get better but still have consistency so that people can identify the characters. But as someone who's drawn a lot, to redraw the same character so that people know it's the same character can be hard.
Yeah. I do like when I look DeviantArt, even though that's a very weird space DeviantArt, when you look at the an animation where people have actually done character studies, they do so many different study pictures of the same character in so many different positions, so that they have so many different references. I suck at drawing. I wouldn't. can't even start. I'm like, wow, because yeah, they do have to just sort of do this whole thing. I think they really have to keep referencing constantly their drawings, so they really need to do like a whole thing and just keep referencing. So I think that's one of the things that you don't get to see, that sort of creation process a lot.
Yeah.
In this sort of thing.
But I definitely thought that it was good to see something where you could see anybody could do it if they really wanted to. If they wanted to put the time in.
And how cute was the little Christmas special at the end as well?
Oh, that's adorable.
The Ballaster
I love
and Goldmine. Oh,
yeah.
It's so cute.
And it's like this one on the last page. Is that a garbage song that she's referencing down there? It says, I don't want to be kept, don't want to be caged, don't want to be damned, oh how I don't want to be broke, don't want to be saved, don't want to be SOL. I'm like,
I think
for
it's
some reason
a
that,
garbage song.
yeah.
It's cool.
sounds like it. And she's also the co-writer of the Lumberjanes that Matt mentioned earlier as well. And
I've been thinking about reading it.
I think Pat Rothfuss mentioned that recently. And said it was one of the best comics that he'd read recently.
I've been thinking about reading it, but I'm sort of like, the thing with comics is that I can get too many under my belt and then I get frustrated. So I'm sort of like, I think I'll just leave it.
Yeah.
And I'll go to it at some point
Killer's
someday.
Song by the Killers.
This is probably not going to show up, but I love this one from the ending. Zoom in. No. Yeah. But it's like the last picture. Sorry.
Sorry, it's the Killers Neon Tiger. So I have heard it before.
There you go. It's familiar. Yeah, I love the last picture where you've got both the guys and Nimona, and he's holding Nimona back, but she's all hissing and giggling.
Yeah, she's got like the teeth. Yes. Teeth and the tongue.
Oh, that's so cute.
I liked how she had sometimes had the wings and the tail, and was like halfway dragon, but not really. Like she is on the cover. You see, she's got her wings and her tail.
Yeah.
That's kind of cool.
Yeah.
Well, 'cause to me, like, she isn't just human because of the fact that she spends so much time as a dragon and other creatures. It's not a case of being just human anymore. But I really liked their relationship in that it wasn't so much, I wouldn't call him a father figure to her, but that it was sort of a paternal friendship. Mentor. But not a mentor as in badness, but a mentor as in, actually, no, I don't like mentor either. I think what was good about them was the friendship.
They were friends despite their apparent ages, or the ages they looked,
And
but he also looked out for her like a father, but like a friend would. It's like it's sort of the same thing when you look at it, yeah.
Thank you, Tim. That's exactly what I was trying to say.
Yeah.
It was a paternalness to the friendship, but it was at the same time it was the most definitively a friendship. But it also went both ways. Like as much as he had, a bit of help given because he was older and a little bit wiser and things along those lines, she also had something to give him, so that made it a friendship. There was an equalness to it. Which was nice. I
do like the cover, like when you go like this. Did you notice in the light the animals look like they shimmer on the front cover?
Yeah, that was cool.
What they do, when I sort of get it in the light, it seems like, because they've gone over the top of the animals' lines with a gloss, when you put it in the light, it sort of looks slightly holographic.
It's shiny.
Yeah, because it shines. The lines, like when you look at it without the light, it just looks like a drawing, but when the light reflects on it, it sort of makes them stand out and look shimmery and holographic-y.
I must admit, I wish I'd gotten this one in the paperback, mostly because it doesn't have the proper comicsology style of reading through it, so you still get the spoiling.
Yeah. I think it's the way it's drawn, it doesn't work as well for comicsology.
It was a web.
Well, I
Yeah,
mean,
'cause
they've
it's a
obviously
web thing. Yeah.
they've sold it as well as a book rather than as a comic. Like they haven't really gone for that aspect of it. So
Yeah, that's what I found it really weird that my bookstore guy said that he'd heard about it and tried to order it, but because he was a bookstore, his suppliers wouldn't send it to him because
and
it's a
yet at the
comic
same
and it was the purview of comic stores.
and yet it's sold on Amazon, not Comixology.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
As
really
they
weird.
do.
And I was so strange. Why would they? You'd think they'd have it available to both, but I suppose like they'd have to keep comics separate for comic stores. Otherwise, comic stores would end up being bookstores, and bookstores would end up being comic stores, and then they'd end up being record stores and cafes.
I don't think that's
Talking
true.
about stores, I
My
had
local
sorry.
bookstore is a comic store as well.
Is it?
Mm.
Yeah, it's got both. I would say it's actually around about half-half.
I wonder why this
That's
guy
awesome.
can't get in. Must be
It could be
the
because
supply.
people were having trouble getting this though, so maybe it was
Yeah.
limited edition and they were keeping it for certain stores. They were making it a
Maybe.
special thing for certain stores because sometimes places do that on
I
certain
actually,
things. They
I would
fit certain-
suspect that it's got to do with your suppliers. Like, any store buys their product from particular suppliers, and if they want to get something in that their suppliers don't have, they have to source a new supplier to get it. And I think that's more likely to be what was going on. Whereas my bookshop that I go to, they clearly have suppliers that are both books and comics. And so I think that's why it works out.
Some suppliers will be the only people given a particular type of product. So sometimes that's the only way. Like it'll only be one supplier for Australia has this in there. So if you don't get from that supplier, you can't get it.
Yeah. And and I know what a hassle it can be sometimes because we have the business and everything. For Christmas, I was getting through the business a couple of the presents that we needed for the family, and one of them required us to add a new supplier. And let's just say the person in the office who does that was not very happy with me. Because apparently
I do remember that it does take a little bit of work because sometimes they won't give you credit even on your first transaction. You have to pay for it up front, and then you have to, call them and move them all the details and then get authorization. It's such a pain. Yeah, it's like, help me just have an account. So they have to get if you want an account, they send you all the paperwork. And
and especially when it's just for one item, that's a big
item. Yeah.
So
it's a real pain.
Well, he is quite a small store, and he is like sci-fi fantasy specialty.
That would make.
Did anyone see? I don't know who I saw it forwarded from, but it just came up in my popular Twitter feeds what John Scalzi tweeted, and apparently Patrick Rothfuss tweeted basically the same thing. Someone went into the book and put Donald Trump's book in between there, so they're like, ew, it's touching, get it off.
I swear, authors are the best people on Twitter. They're always so amusing. It's hilarious. I love it.
And it's that person was the best just to put it in between Scalzi and Rothfuss because that's some of the funniest.
Honestly, I'm not even I like Scalzi well enough, but I'm not a huge fan of his work or anything. But following him on Twitter, so good.
So funny.
Yeah, there's a few authors.
It's funny. They were like, should it really be over there? It's what was it, sci-fi fantasy? And it's like, shouldn't it be in juvenile fiction? And I think Will Wheaton and John Scalzi and there's a couple of other people sort of debating, going, should it be over here? It's like, no, wash it with this. You might have to burn it. Shouldn't it be in juvenile fiction? Shouldn't it be over here? Hold on, no. Someone goes, I think it should be in the horror section, shouldn't it?
Yes. With most of what he's saying at the moment, definitely. Politics. Anyway.
American politics. It's like our politicians are just stupid and boring. Theirs are just not so crazy.
I don't know, with this climate change stuff that's been going on lately, I'm not so happy with that.
Well, at least Abbott's out.
Yeah. That's the thing, at the moment everybody's like, at least Abbott's out. I'm like, I'm not sure Turnbull's all that much better.
I think
Turnbull's just a lot quieter at doing it.
Yeah, he's
I'm sure
quieter
Turnbull,
being a douchebag.
Oh,
Yeah,
threw
like
out
he's terrible because we
something
don't
that Abbott
actually
was
know what
doing
he's
about
doing.
wind. Yeah, I think Turnbull's like turned down some of the things Abbott was trying to get through about wind, solar, and wind. So
Oh yeah,
that's
he's
not
got
going.
good
Not
energy.
good. So he's
For
the lesser
for
evil
right
at the
now.
moment.
yeah. I don't disagree he's a lesser evil. I'm
Yeah.
just not sure that he actually represents what I would like either.
He's still
but yeah,
anti-gay
he's better.
marriage, and he's still
Yes.
anti-Indigenous rights, and he's still a right-wing conservative, and he's still for the rich.
Although,
Yes,
to be fair,
exactly.
Nye and I were discussing this last night. We are rather left-wing. Like, whoa!
Yeah, but I think most of
most of it-
Australia is pretty left-wing, but the right-wingers who are right-wing are like really right-wing.
Yeah.
I definitely agree most of us are, but somebody, who was it? Someone from the club the other day, they liked a page on Facebook where I was just like, whoa, what are you liking? I can't remember who it was, but they liked a anti-feminist Australia page. I was like,
Seriously?
yeah,
You
like,
know we're friends, right?
I was like, maybe I don't want you on my feed anymore.
You've seen my Twitter rant over this meme that my friend shared that was promoting rape, and he said it. The post was not to offend anyone, but this is pretty funny. And I'm like, the fact that you said not to offend is that you knew it was going to be offensive, and then you said it anyway, and it was offensive towards women in general. And I sat on it for a while. Luke pulled him up on it, and he told Luke to shut up, and Luke did not take that well. We've been friends with this guy for 15 years. He's like a good friend. And then I dwelled on it for a little while, and I messaged him the other day and just sent a really long message to him, and he said, "We'll talk when I get back from the mines." I'm like, oh God, here we go. So we'll see how this goes.
Oh,
But
dear.
I'm not putting up with that. He's the only person on my Facebook wall who does post shit like that, and I'm not going to unfriend him because we've been friends for so long, and we are friends, and he wouldn't say that to me in real life.
Yeah.
And why would I
that's the
unfriend
thing,
him?
like,
Yeah,
people
but it's
say
the,
things
that
online.
thing. If you wouldn't say it in real life, don't say it online either. I don't follow her, but there's have you heard of Clementine Ford?
Yeah. Oh God.
Yeah,
Oh, I have.
yeah, she's very the way like I've met Clementine and like years and years ago before she was a journalist, and she is very upfront. She doesn't mind her language. She will swear when she wants to swear, but she's so honest, and she really gets people's backs up.
I don't know whether she's good
and
or
she's
not. Sometimes she is, and sometimes she's just out there.
Yeah. A lot of the times, like, if you see people say, oh, she said this, but you actually go and find where she said it, you'll realize that she's used it in an ironic manner and they're taking things out of context. So a lot of the things I see where people are like, oh, she's this, she said that, they're misrepresenting what she's posted previously or said on Twitter or something like that. They're misrepresenting her, but she doesn't pull punches. So she will come out and say, you know, you're being a dickhead, you're a fuckwad, you know, she doesn't mind her language. But, and people will just, because she ended up, they say, getting a guy fired. Basically, he called her the C word on Facebook in a comment and sent her a message saying go sit on a which all the people who were going, oh, you got her fired, seemed to miss the fact that he sent her a message that told her to go sit on a butcher's knife.
Oh, God.
Go sit on a knife. Yeah,
and all she did was screenshot it and post it on her Twitter, and his boss happened to see it, and that's what got him fired.
Just send a message to Meriton Apartments, who he has listed. Like, you just click on his name, comes up with where he works, all of this stuff that he's made public, all these racist, sexist, homophobic, all these different things on his things, and she just said, look, just sent a message to his company saying, I don't know if you're aware, this is the kind of person, like, this is what your employer is putting out in public and he's listed as working at your employment, at your apartments as I think he was a supervisor. And that's all she did, was just say, I think you should think about the people you're hiring. That's all she did. And so they went through a procedure like they sent her a message back and saying, we investigated this matter, and as of this date, he is no longer he has been removed from the premises. So they did an investigation, a proper investigation, because it was actually documented that they did do the right thing, and decided to terminate him. They didn't have to, but everyone, like all these men, there's a few women, but all these men seem to be blaming her for getting him fired, not for just, calling out that he's a douchebag, asking his employer to, because this is someone who works with the public, obviously. So
if you're going to put on your personal site that I work for company X, and then you say,
and I like to call women this.
Yeah, and I like to call women this, and I think women should go do this and die and blah blah blah. Like, you can't expect your employer, you're still being a public face for your employer, even when you're not at work, if it's on your public profile.
Yes.
Most
they don't seem to understand that. It's like if you go out, and people would try and explain it to these people that if you go out in your work uniform after work and do something really bad, people see who you work for, and that's going to impact negatively. It's the same thing if you do it online, but a lot of people seem to want to believe that online isn't the real world.
Yeah,
it's like,
and they forget that
it's
it's actually
still the real
people
world. It's not
on
a
the other
fake.
side.
Yes, it's not a fake environment. It is a real world. We're not in some MMO where you role play online. It's the real world. You're talking to real people, and your actions have consequences. And she's just tending to pick just random people, just absolutely random. People were really horrible to her. She's picking them and making them accountable for their actions, and people were just going nuts. She gets death threats every day. So she's not someone, she could pick anyone on any given day, and she's only picked a couple of people.
Stupid with the internet. Like, it astounds me. Like, the things that people will say, and that they'll link to themselves online, and that they don't realise that they're sharing, like, and that you can never delete.
It's on the internet forever.
The kids who have grown up not having that period of time where maybe we did, that was internet safety, and have mobile phones that instantly connect them to the internet, and they're posting these pictures and hooking up with people that they don't know online, and with unaware of the danger of it all, and like blasé about it. That's what scares me more than anything. Like, I've never linked. Lots of my friends know where I work, but I will never mention my work by name on any of my social media, because I know that I don't want to be linked to my work forever.
I do on Facebook, but I make sure that if I post anything in public using that Facebook account, that it's not going to negatively impact them. But that's just the way I generally, conduct myself.
Through the internet?
I don't have to,
do live?
That's how you internet.
Yeah, that's how I internet.
That's how you
I
live.
internet like I real life.
That's people skills.
That's the thing. Like, you should internet like you real life. Like, you shouldn't be on the internet being like, if you're saying something to someone on the internet and you wouldn't say it to them to their face, maybe don't say it. Like, as a general rule.
That friend would never say a rape joke like that in front of me, and expect me to be okay with it. Yeah. Or, the 20 other girls that are in his list that, have experience in that area. That it's not okay, and he fucking knows it. Yeah. And he'll hear about it when I see him.
Yep. I wonder if he's dreading seeing you, because he should be.
Yeah, probably. Because it's me and Luke as well, and Luke's formidable. Luke can word really well.
Some of these people really just need to be called up on things to make them realise that they're actually impacting on real people. There's one of
it's the passive-aggressive posts afterwards that are like, oh, it's 2015 and I can't say anything because everyone's going to get offended no matter what I say. I'm like,
oh, yeah. But like, who was it? I think it was Brianna Wu, one of the ladies who was getting abused, and got what's it called when they put all your details online?
Oh yeah.
DDoS?
Yeah, I know what you mean.
So what did you say, Naomi?
Docs.
DDoS.
Yeah. So she had that happen to her, and people were calling her phone, and, you know, screaming insults at her and stuff. And she did this, I don't know if it was a TED Talk, I think it might have been something else, but she did a talk on it, and she was talking about the fact that almost always, if she kept her cool and actually talked to them, they suddenly got all apologetic. Like they realised he was a real person. He's like, it's this person who is just insane, screaming at me, and you should, what you logically should do is just put the phone down and not talk to them. But for some reason, I decided that what I needed to do was talk to these people, and she said I started doing it, and it suddenly these people, you know, almost immediately were now apologising to me. I'm so sorry, I shouldn't have called you. I can't believe people are doing this to you, this sort of stuff. And it was like a complete reversal as soon as they realised she was a real human being. Like, is it so hard for us to realise that the person on the other end is a real human being?
Well, I mean, so many people, like, watching TV can barely sort of, when you're watching the news, they're like, oh, well, that person deserved it because of X. Like, yeah, but they're still a person, like...
Nobody deserves them.
Unless you're a judge in a courtroom, you can't decide anything. Like, you don't get to judge anyone unless you have all of the facts and not just the skewed facts that you were given on any day in the news.
Yeah.
Yes, because we know what the news is like. I mean, just some of the things I've seen people post on, like, things from Fox News, and you're like, who watches this crap? What the hell did they just say? Yes, but stay very far away from Fox News. That's Murdoch. Fox News is owned by Murdoch, isn't it? I'm pretty sure.
Everything's owned by
Stay
Murdoch.
away from everything owned by Murdoch.
My university is owned by Murdoch.
Is it Murdoch University?
No, it's just named after him.
Yeah. I bet they're sort of regretting that now.
It's like
Wonder if
the
they had
opposite of
thoughts
Murdoch
about
as
changing
well.
it.
It's hilarious. They call us like the hippie University of WA, and yet it's called Murdoch. It's so funny.
It just
'Cause
goes
we've
to
got a
show
farm
that
and
it's made up of the people, not of the people of the person who was named after or created it or anything.
Hilarious.
Anyway, guys, I really have to call it. I have to get up so early in the morning. And I'm
I
not
was
even
going to
done
say,
yet.
isn't it time for your bed?
Yeah.
Sorry?
I was about to say, isn't it time for bed for you?
Yeah,
It's very
it's
late for you.
11:15. I have to get up at 5, and I still have to pack my bags and a couple other things. So I'm like,
Oh, God. Sorry.
no. I wanted the hangout. Don't get me wrong. I've been like hanging out for it. So that doesn't mean I'm not going to call a stop when I need to, though. You guys can start another hangout if you want to keep talking.
No, I think
I'm
it's
gonna
time
go
for bed
watch a
for all of us.
Yeah, I think it's time for bed.
All right then, guys. Have a Merry Christmas.
Yeah.
Yes, Merry Christmas.
I'll
Secret
see you
Santa.
all in the new year. Yay, Secret
So
Santa.
it's only next week. Christmas is
Yeah.
only next week.
Not too long. Try not to put it somewhere where you have to look at it, guys.
I keep looking at it every day, and I'm like, can't I just open it? No one will even know.
I've
was
got
like,
two.
no,
Can I
can't
just
open
open
it.
one?
No.
Yeah, I got two. Yeah, one of them was torn. Like the wrapping paper is torn
Oh,
here.
that one's already half done for
So-
you.
Yeah, like I looked at the tear and I'm like, oh, I'm so glad that wasn't the spine because it probably would have revealed like most of the names. So it's just like there. I'm like, oh, thank God. All I know is that it has normal coloured pages.
It has pages.
Now you
Yeah,
just need to go through.
The padded bag had a hole in it, and it was like one of those ones with all the fibre stuffing in there. So it's sort of like.
Wow.
Yep.
All right, guys.
Yeah.
All right. I'm just not looking at my books. They don't exist until Christmas Day.
No.
All right. Stay tight. See you in the new year. Talk to you
Bye,
later. Bye.
Bye.